Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Arsenal Away podcast with me, Samrid, and of course my usual partner in crime, Ashwin. We're a brand new, well, not a brand new, we're about a year old Arsenal fan channel from India. We're two huge Arsenal fans, been doing this for about a year now. We've been supporting Arsenal for a good 20 plus years. So thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, share our channel with your friends, Arsenal friends, non-Arsenal friends, who you think might be interested in hearing what we have to say. Moving on, uh, Ashwin, if 9 times out of 10 yesterday's game we would have lost. Also, it was the first half was a complete snooze fest. I don't think I can sit through a half like that, especially after Madison hit the post and Reese had two pretty decent chances to take us forward. I don't think we were all that great. The second half, both the goals were, I wouldn't say lucky, but we could have done so much better. The own goal from Fuchs, and of course Eddie just being the fox in the box and scoring for us again. But yeah, I actually don't quite know what to make of yesterday's game. Either we're I'm not I'm happy we won, but now we play Liverpool what twice in a week, both at Anfield, and it's not something I'm looking forward to.
You hit the nail on the head by saying that firstly it was a snooze fest. Secondly, I mean, I think we discussed in the last pod saying when it was the last time we actually went away to Leicester and beat them. It was 2015 when they won the league. So since then we haven't won. And you're right. On any other night, on under any other manager, we would have probably lost this game. Uh, we would have probably been on the receiving end of these really calamitous and really bad goals that we scored and they conceded. And yeah, we rode our luck. Madison hitting the bar was really unlucky for him. Uh, First half, apart from Reese, that one shot where he had. Oh, actually, Reese had a couple of chances where he should have looked at either passing, putting Saka through, or even from the corner where he had the chance to take us one nil ahead. But yeah, we missed our chances. It was a scrappy game. You're right. Big element of luck in both our goals. Um, First one was an own goal, and second one, it felt like time stood still, where the keeper was just like caught in no man's land, and like everybody thought like, what was it, a foul? Is it not a foul? And Eddie stepped up and like it's the true fox in the box and scored that and made it 2-0. I'm I'm happy we progressed because at the end of the day, you and me talk about confidence and and like what winning can do to a team. I know it didn't matter because we've changed the 11 around, but winning still breeds confidence into whatever team you're in. I mean, it's for the season, it's 4 out of 4 right now, considering the Community Shield as well. And that will only breed confidence. It'll only help us going to Liverpool um, with more confidence than before. Usually, before games like this, you and me are in the dumps saying that, you know what, we're not expecting anything. And
We're breaking it. I think you're being I think you're not giving us enough credit for how nervous and how much we're shitting it. But no, you're right. I think there is definitely an element of confidence, and of course, we do every game we progress, every game we win will give us a good run moving forward. Um, were you at all surprised by the lineup though? I think the only person who I thought should never ever wear Arsenal shirt again, unfortunately, did. Kolasinac just keeps getting picked over and over again. I think until the window closes and we for sure know that he's being shipped, I don't think we'll ever see the back of him. But anything that surprised you from the lineup? We can talk about the Ozil piece in a bit, but outside of that, anything that surprised you in the lineup though?
so I think we mentioned this that he'll probably go with a mix of the senior guys and the young guys. I wasn't
Right.
expecting Leno to start. I know it's too early for Granison to come in, and probably Matt Macy doesn't have a chance. But it was a game where, if suppose Leno got injured, if he picked up another injury, and then you're basically either you're in the market again for another keeper, or you're trusting Granison, who's come from France's league to like the second division in France, and to throw him into the deep into a Premier League game, in multiple games would have just been typical Arsenal. But it was a surprise. David Luiz, and as much as you and me both hate Kolasinac, I felt Kolasinac had a decent game yesterday. He didn't really do that much wrong. I felt maybe that has a lot to do with Leicester making 11 changes as well, and they having like absolutely no rhythm at all in their game. So that kind of helped. But the young guns took their chance. I felt Saka had an impressive game. He was really, really good. Um, he basically looked like a cut above the rest. Like now you can understand why Saka was the one of the few youngsters who's actually been thrown in and who can play with the senior guys, because genuinely the things that he was doing in the first half was much better than what, say, like even like a Reece Nelson or a Willick were doing. I felt Willick was completely invisible in the first half. I didn't really see him go for the ball much. But yeah, I mean, a few of them took their chances. Eddie scoring, putting pressure on Laka. Good thing is Laka's scoring as well. Otherwise, his place would be under pressure. But yeah, ominous signs. You and me both know going away to Leicester has been very hard. And for us to go there, keep a clean sheet, win, and progress to the next round, even though we don't want to, because we know that our next round is Liverpool. It's still good. It breeds confidence. It shows a step that we're in the step in the right direction, and it shows that Arteta is serious about even the smallest of smallest trophies and games, and that he's going to challenge for everything and make sure that even his B side fights with the same sort of intensity as his A side does.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I just want to add on the Willick piece. I think there is definitely a lack of confidence there, and it's very evident. He's someone who needs to look up. Suddenly, when he receives the ball, suddenly needs to look up and starts moving forward. But he's not doing that. There seems to be a hesitancy in his game of even executing the simple stuff. Um, I think a loan will do him great. There definitely does seem to be a need for him to go out and get that confidence beat, even if it means going to a championship level team to just play more regularly and start pitching in, start making in contributions either by assisting or by scoring or setting up stuff. Um, but you're right. I think there was definitely there are youngsters who can now match and who look very comfortable playing with the senior team. Saka, of course, Willock still has a way to go. Reece Nelson didn't have a bad game, but you would expect him to do better with, especially the chance that he got in the box. Shot wide completely. Whether that was, I don't think that was a deflection either. I think he just missed the target completely, 10 yards away. Um, but yeah, clean sheet. Luis coming back obviously will help. Luis coming back we might just see a change again in the Liverpool game. Um, but no, I'm happy. And yeah, we move forward. Before we get into the Liverpool game over the weekend, though, I do want to get your thoughts on the Ozil situation, which surprisingly, on a couple of the groups that I'm on, the only thing that people want to talk about is how Ozil isn't playing, Guendouzi isn't playing, Torreira is, of course, being heavily linked to the move to Atletico Madrid. Um, my 2 cents on this are the fact that it's done. Like there's no way back for him if he cannot start for a Carabao Cup game against a, a second string Leicester side at the beginning of the season, even though he's training pretty much every day. Um, he hasn't played a competitive game in 6 months. He's our highest paid player. There's a lot more that's happening, and quite honestly, as much as I would like for there to be a resolution on this, and for the club to come out and say, they're not going to come out and say it. You're not going to expect a club like Arsenal to come out and say, yes, we support Mesut, or no, by what's happening with the political situation in China is going to help the club in any way. Because it's a business at the end of the day. It's not. We're not. Arsenal is not a charitable foundation. It's not a political foundation. So for us to for us to not say anything also sends a message that we don't want to do anything with him. But yesterday was, if people need a more damning indictment of what's been Mesut's career, especially in the latter half of his Arsenal career of the last 2 years, that was it yesterday. Um, so yeah, it's sad, but we have to find a way to cut costs because we'll be saving a boatload of money, like bucket loads of money, if we can get rid of him. Um, yeah, your thoughts on the situation?
I mean, you know my love for Ozil. Um,
Yeah.
it's such a stark contrast from the day that we signed him, when the whole fan base went crazy, to where we've come with him in this situation right now. You're right. I mean, not being able to make a Carabao Cup, forget the for starting lineup, but not making the 15 or
The squad either,
the
yeah.
squad is appalling. And I don't know, man. The post match interview, I was watching Arteta's post match interview, and like it was dominated by Mesut Ozil questions, and Arteta didn't give one straight answer. Like he deflected
And it had to, and it was going to,
everything.
because we haven't been given an answer either by Arteta or by and there's no obligation. They don't have an
Yeah,
obligation to do
yeah.
it. But if your highest paid player is not starting games after suddenly being frozen out uh, post lockdown games beginning, there's something happening there. And I mean, you and I both are huge fans of him. He definitely will improve how we play, but it's not helping anyone. It's not helping the fans because they'll keep questioning. Journalists will keep questioning. Arteta will not give us a direct answer. Um,
See, I'll tell you what's working in our favor right now, and it's a good thing right now is that Arteta is winning. Whatever the process he's doing is happening.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
under Emery, we lost. We started losing games. We were not creative enough, and that's when the fan pressure and the media pressure came into him, saying that, you know what, you have one of the best number 10s in the world. You lack creativity. You're losing games. What is there in playing Özil? And I remember last year, it was when we went away to Anfield in the Carabao Cup, was when he decided to play Ozil after not picking him for the longest time. And that was when Ozil turned the game around, had a couple of assists that game, played fantastically well. And I remember you and me doing the pod and saying, you know what, Ozil makes Emery eat humble pie when we were talking about that, and he makes him look stupid. And so that's the only thing going in Arteta's favor, that we're winning. The process is working for him. Otherwise, he'd have solid pressure from everybody to get him back. And it's sad. It's sad. Like he's on 350k a week. Um, Getting rid of him would obviously help us. Now they're talking about not allowing fans back into the stadium. The idea was to start to reintroduce them from October, and that would probably ease the burden. I mean, ease the burden of the gate receipts and the revenue coming in. Now the idea is that the Premier League season might have to go through again without having any sort of fans there at all. So that's a massive loss to a big club like Arsenal, where you're dependent on gate revenue so much, for even for you to be profitable. And if that's the case, for us to sign the likes of, say, a Partey or Awa, it just becomes harder and harder now. I know there were talks of it happening towards the end of the window, but now having to consider that, okay, we're probably going to make so much loss because there's no gate receipts coming in. Can we really afford a Partey? Can we really afford an Awa? Right? And to be honest, if you don't get both of them or either one of them, then I think we're going to really struggle, because again, it's going to be Arteta using more or less the same squad and having to fight against teams who've improved much more than last year. So again, that becomes a massive challenge, and again, it becomes
No
one of
doubt,
those.
no doubt, no doubt. If we don't improve, we will probably end up at the same position where we were, and
Yeah,
there's been no progress, and it's a year lost again.
yeah, exactly. And
Um, yeah.
and and then fans conveniently will start blaming Arteta, but he's can't really do anything when your hands are tied. Like if you give Arteta the sort of money that Chelsea gave Frank Lampard, he'd probably be. I mean, we'd probably win the league with that. I'm not saying
I
that.
mean, I don't know. There are talks though of a government bailout for football clubs as well, along with a few other sports. Um, but let's see. It's interesting to see where this is heading. Um, but I mean, that's we have 2 weeks to sort out our midfield, and hopefully there's something that happens there. So fingers crossed. The board knows what we need. Teta knows what we need. It's pretty evident. Everybody knows where we're lacking. We need to fix up, and the sooner the better, before any other club decides that, you know what, we could just do with these players and just snap them up real quick. Moving on though to the big game on Monday night, I think. Away to the champions, we've beaten them when they came to the Emirates.
Let's be
That
fair.
expression on clock.
Let's be fair. They won the league that time already. Most of
They'd
the
won the
players,
league well.
most of the
Yeah,
players were
but
already on a beach somewhere drinking tequila.
that's fine. That I get that, but they still start. They still started with their first 11. They still started with the likes of Salah, Mane, everyone was there. That expression on Klopp's face with his jaw dropped, realizing what is even happening when we were conceding. Van Dijk making a mistake. Um, I will not forget that for the longest time. And they are beatable. They are a beatable squad. Well, beatable is maybe pushing it, but they are a team that can be got at. Leeds in the opening game pushed them right till the end before a brain fart for one of their players. Um, I think even their second game, they were pushed quite a bit.
Chelsea.
So they are there for the taking. It's not like they cannot be beaten, or Anfield is a place that we just cannot score, because it's Anfield and this is Anfield and all that shit that goes along with Liverpool.
We scored 5 goals at Anfield last season.
We scored 5 goals at Anfield last year. That's true. So it's a difficult place to go to. I just think I don't know, I have a sneaky feeling that it may just be a bridge too far to cross just because of their addition of Thiago there, because that guy will make their midfield tick much, much faster than the likes of a Wijnaldum or a Fabinho can do. I think I remember you telling me when we were watching the Liverpool Chelsea game that he had more touches in 45 minutes of football than most and the entire Liverpool team did in 90 minutes. That's in one single player. So that just goes to show, and it's of how important he's going to be. Um, Plus, they've strengthened. They've got good bench strength as well. I won't be surprised if Yota comes on and scores one in when we're 1-1 after 85 minutes. That's just how the game is going to be. But your thoughts on how do you think it's going to go, and who the lineup's going to be like? What the lineup's going to be like?
See, if there was ever a time to go to Anfield and beat Liverpool, it's now because their fans are not
It's
there.
yeah, early
Uh,
early doors, yeah.
their fans can literally make it feel like they have an extra man on the pitch, and it is that sort of stadium which is always constantly rocking, is constantly. I mean, uh, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it right now, man. Like their fans and the stadium is outstanding, but without having that, without having the sort of atmosphere that they usually generate and playing in an empty stadium seems to be doing well for us right now. Most of our players, like I mean, like we spoke about how Xhaka's managed to turn it around and all, and most of our players seem like the type who might not be able to do well under pressure from the fans, right? Like I'm not saying they are, but we seem to be doing better right now where there are no fans. So if there's ever a chance to go and beat Liverpool, it's right now. But then again, I'm not confident at all. If you get a draw, I'll be more than happy. If you get a win, it's a bonus. It's just going to be great for us to get our belief and confidence and take it from there. If we beat Liverpool, we might be able to go on a run. But then again, let's not forget 2 games after that we play Man City away. So we might be going up and then we might crash way back down again.
One step at a time,
Yeah,
Ashwin. One
exactly.
one fire at a time, please.
So that's the thing, right? Like I think we mentioned this before we discussed this. Going to Anfield and seeing progression is what we want. We want the team to fight. We want the team to stand up and compete. Even if we lose, it's okay. But I don't want us to go there and get thrashed 4-5-0 because we've seen that happening, and that would
Oh,
be
and that's
embarrassing.
very possible.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah,
possible. Suddenly, Luis, who's been great for us for the last five, six games, suddenly just decides to go and 2 foot Sadio Mane, and we're down to 10 men with 80 minutes to go. I mean, it's very possible, and the thought scares the shit out of me already.
I was fearing
Um,
that when you spoke about Thiago and him controlling the ball, you have to understand that Chelsea were but playing with 10 men over there at Anfield.
10 men.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was not Anfield; it was actually Stamford Bridge. And Thiago is the sort of player who likes to dominate the ball, and with 10 men, he had more opportunity to dominate the ball, right? So it's imperative that guys we first go there and stick to our basics and not go down a man, because 11 on 11 is hard against Liverpool. 10 versus 11 becomes a different ball game, right? Let's not forget, okay, they are shaky right now. Van Dijk has made a few mistakes, but they've got Salah, who's already hit a first game hat trick. They've got Mane, who's got 2 goals against Chelsea. They've picked up Thiago. You mentioned Jota. Fabinho played at defense that day against Chelsea.
Yeah.
And he's a midfielder, and he defended so well. So I don't know, but anyway, you got to understand that where Liverpool are and where Arsenal are, we're not in the same in terms of process and in terms of where we are as teams. We're not in the same level. We have to
Yeah.
understand that we're not fighting for the league. We're probably fighting for top four, top five, top six, and Liverpool are obviously fighting for the league. So you got to understand that it is going to be more of us obviously trying to sit back and hit them on the break, which we've done so well in the past. Liverpool in the
Mm.
first two games I've seen have played a high line. If they play that high line and if we can play the balls at the right time to Oba, obviously he's going to be the outlet again. We might get something. I'm not confident, but that's probably going to be our game plan to sit back, hit them on the counter, and use that opportunity. That's the only chance I see.
Yeah, I mean, today's papers have us linked with the likes of Jorginho from Chelsea. So, uh,
To be honest, I'm
I mean,
actually.
I'm at a loss for words. I'm at a loss for words because um, that's. I would have. I mean, actually, I'd like to have seen the likes of the names that we've been linked to have been with us before this game kicked off. But I get it. I get what you're trying to say because we have no game changer there who could move could be that X factor who would just give us that, if not even a leg up against Liverpool, just be give us some sort of equality or parity there, and it's just not there. And I have a sneaky feeling we're gonna have the likes of a Xhaka and an El Neni, who quite honestly are the most boring midfielders you could talk about. There's no box office there at all. But yeah, now you've made me now not look forward to the game, man. Thanks for that.
No, the fact that you mentioned Jorginho, obviously he's one of those people that when you hear of and you're like, no, thank you straight away. But I can probably understand why Arteta would want someone like him. If you notice the way Pep and the way Arteta play football, they don't really have one of
Yeah.
those, the deep lying number six who just like a Torreira,
Hmm.
who we want to get rid of, who come and be that defensive shield. They prefer people who are more comfortable on the ball. Like I can see Danny Ceballos being molded into the type of Jorginho type of player who can basically keep the ball ticking in midfield and you know be able to be good on the ball. So I can understand where Jorginho is coming from. Another point of view is that we've been linked with Partey and Awa for so long in the window. I was scared of the fact that we had no plan B or plan C. So I'm actually happy that just in case this doesn't work out on the last day, it shouldn't be that we don't sign anybody, that we have a plan B, plan C. So I'm happy that at
No,
least we've
please.
been linked with somebody.
Jorginho is not plan C. Jorginho is no plan. Signing Jorginho is no plan. Signing anyone of that quality is no plan. I am sorry.
just
I will
just
not accept
think
Arsenal
of
Football Club signing the having the likes of a Jorginho, a midfield of a Xhaka, an El Neni, or Jorginho. I'm sorry. Or Ceballos,
just
who
think
quite
of
on.
the amount of penalty, the great penalty takers we'd have in our team. Aubameyang, Jorginho, Willian,
Yeah, I
Lacazette.
mean, I guess what we should do is, I guess, as United have done in the past, pay off referees so we somehow, you know, uh, end up nil-nil after 90 minutes, or we get a penalty and then we have our choice of multiple penalty takers. Ainsley, El Neni, Xhaka,
But
Jorginho,
to be fair,
Oba.
El Nani did a decent job yesterday. He came in, no nonsense, kept the ball rolling, kept the ball ticking. And that's what you need to ask for from bench players. Like when you want these guys to come in to just put in a professional shift, like you mentioned, he's a 6 on, maybe a 7 on 10 player who will always give you that. And I think that's what we need. Like we need guys who are on low on wages, who can come and do a job, won't cry and say that I want to always start. And these are the sort of journeymen that you require sometimes to take you through a campaign. They are not the most glorious people. Like I know you and me had problems with Jaka, but you know that stat. Without Jaka, we probably we lose about 70% of our games.
Yeah, no, you're
And
right.
and for me, that's the thing. Like if uh, um, if Thiago is going to dominate the Liverpool midfield, we need someone in order to combat him. We need Xhaka to have a good game, because if Xhaka doesn't show up on Monday, we're doomed. And so it's very important. Like our spine has to be so strong in terms of Xhaka, Luis, or whoever starting at centre back, and even Leno. They've got to be so strong because Liverpool are going to hit us from every single aspect. And the thing is, you know what? Leno made a fantastic save yesterday, but he's been suspect on crosses for the last 3 games. And there's
Yeah.
no team in the world right now who crosses the ball more than Liverpool, with both their fullbacks bombing forward and just spamming crosses into the box. So they're going to take note of that. They're going to see that. They're going to see that okay, Leno's suspect on that, and they're going to try exploiting that. So either we do something and make sure that we get Tierney completely fit, because Kolasinac can't start that game, because if he does, we're doomed. So we've got to be.
Oh, if Kolasinac starts that game, I'm not watching this game. I'm sorry. I will not subject myself to 2 hours of Kolasinac being run ragged by the likes of both Trent as well as Robertson. Whatever whatever flank Teta decides to switch him because he's being run ragged by either one of them. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so
But all right. I guess I hear what you're saying. Um, I guess it's time to nail our put our next on the line. Scoreline. Who do you think? What's the scoreline going to be?
before we get to the scoreline, I like to know your team that you want to go with for Anfield.
Okay. No, I don't think anything different is going to be from the last Premier League game. I think we're going to be it's going to be Xhaka and Ceballos in the middle of the park with the 3-5-2 formation that we play with two wing backs with both Bellerin and Tierney, of course, playing. I think now that Luis is back, it probably will be holding Luis and Gabriel as centre half.
And
With
Tierney's moved to
Ob.
left wing back.
Yeah, so I think it would probably be Tierney at left wing back with Bellerin on the right, and the front three of Auba, Lacazette, and Willian.
I think he probably go with that same lineup. And
Yeah.
I mean, the last 2 games, Saka's really done a decent job. He had the 2 pre-assists against West Ham, a tough West Ham side, and was pretty good last night as well. No chance for him to get into the team.
No, I don't think so. I think it's he might. I think he might play him in the Carabao Cup, assuming Liverpool get past Lincoln City. Let's not forget that uh, that still needs to happen for us to go away to Liverpool. So I'm sure I'm going to go ensure I risk getting COVID by going to the Temple and ensuring that Lincoln City somehow beat Liverpool, so we don't have to be Liverpool away. But no, all morose jokes apart, I don't think Saka will start. I think it's still it's. I think Arteta is protecting players, especially the ones like Saka, who are there's a lot of expectation from, and he's been delivering. I mean, quite honestly, it's not like he's going to be phased by it. But who do you drop? Do you drop Auba? Do you drop Lacazette? Do you drop Willian? Who all three have done nothing to warrant getting dropped and being replaced by a youngster. Um, so yeah, no, I don't think Saka starts. I think he'll be on the bench. I don't think he'll start.
All right, that was a lineup. I think I probably agree with you. I don't think he's going to probably change too much. It's a good thing that Auba and the likes of Xhaka, and all of them get that rest that they require. I think Luis slots back in, and we probably move Gabriel to left wing back. But let's see. That's all up to Mikel, and probably be the lineup. Before I get to the score again, one more question: who is your man to watch for the Liverpool team?
Who's my man to watch the Liverpool team? I think you may want to rephrase that and ask me who are my men to watch in the
Okay,
Liverpool
you could go
team.
for men to watch.
Yeah, so if everyone from their first name on their team to the last, there's no one who I think is not dangerous. From both their fullbacks can assist with their eyes closed. Their
And free
front three
kicks.
score for fun, and their free kicks as well. The front three can score with their eyes closed. Allison is a monster as a goalkeeper. Their centre halves can score from corners. Thiago is going to completely dominate the midfield. Just how brilliant he is. Everyone, they're a complete functioning unit. I don't see any weakness in them except for the fact that maybe if we have the likes of if they have a brain fade and we just completely are on top of a game, and Auba just has one of those games where he's just single-handedly pulling us through like he has been over the last few seasons. But I think every one of their players is super strong, and I don't see a weak link there at all.
All right, fair enough. Finally, then, bro, your scorelines and predictions.
I'm gonna go with a very hopeful score draw. I think it'll be 2-2.
Wow. I'm done for that. At the moment, whatever said and done, I think they're going to probably bring Arsenal back down to earth. We're probably going to end up losing this 3-1. It'll be a hard fought game. I think it'll be 1-1 for a long time, and then probably from the 75th minute or so, after we get like tired or we make a mistake, I see them taking a 2-goal advantage and then winning that by 3-1. I hope we keep 10 men. I mean, not 10 men. I hope we keep 11 men and don't go down to 10 men.
Ashwin,
Yeah, that's
that's
it's going to happen.
you.
You
It's
know it's going
done,
to
man.
happen.
It's done. Game's done.
It's going to happen at some
The
point.
game's done.
So yeah, I hope Aubas. I mean, he's one. It's one of those days where he has his shooting boots on. So same for the likes of Lacazette as well. Lacazette loves a goal against Liverpool, and he always usually mostly scores against them at the Emirates, but he loves a goal against them. So yeah, hoping for Xhaka to have a good game, for the likes of Luis to not have a brain fade, for Leno to be strong, and for Liverpool to be on holiday again.
Score
Let's
an own goal.
yeah.
I,
I take it. I take it.
I
1-0
genuinely,
own goal.
I'll take it. Yeah, yeah, man. I would like to see that expression on Klopp's face again. Just his open-mouthed, his fake teeth that that his job that he got done once he joined Liverpool. I want to see that expression on his face. Um, but yeah, it's going to be a tough game, but it's going to be a good game. It'll be a good test for these guys, and hopefully we come away with something from the game. A win will be fabulous.
Just be a bonus for us.
Anything, yeah, anything apart from a loss will be a decent step forward.
That's true. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. That's been the podcast. We will see you after the Liverpool game, previewing the Liverpool game again for the Carabao Cup. Like Samit said at the start of the show, please subscribe.
Previewing the Lincoln City game for the Carabao Cup. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and of course, our socials are right there. Please do subscribe, like. We're on Twitter as well. Reach out to us, and of course, follow both Ashwin and I on Twitter. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Ashwin.
Thanks, guys.